And we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Tea Time with Tia. So glad you can join me. And if you're watching this right now, happy Sunday. If you're not watching it now, happy whatever day it is. But yeah, I wanted to take a quick moment to talk about probably one of the best animated shows ever, that has now come to a more accessible app, and why you should check it out. And the based on the title, you probably can tell what I'm going to talk about. But it is. Let's adjust that a little. Sorry. Ooh, that's weird. That looked bluish. But the remote's all the way there. I'm sorry. I'm not shutting. I should get up and shut that off. My bad. Did you miss me? Yeah, I probably should learn how to edit so I can edit things out like that, but I don't know yet, so we're not going to do it yet. But as I was saying, so Harley Quinn is an anime series that originated on the DC Universe app. And if you'd like to know my opinions on the DC Universe app, you can actually check that out on my last video where I talked about DC Universe's Stargirl. And that's really good. You should watch that show as well. But so Harley Quinn, the animated series, originated on the DC Universe app, and it has 2 seasons so far. Hopefully we'll get a third. But it just went on HBO Max, which is great because not everyone has the DC Universe app, but a lot of people have HBO. A lot of people have gotten HBO Max, so that means that they will be able to watch the Harley Quinn series. And I have said in previous reviews that the Harley Quinn animated series reminds me of a more adult version of Batman the Animated Series. If you're like me and you grew up in the 90s, then you definitely grew up on Batman the Animated Series, which means this is definitely up your alley because it has the almost animation. It's nostalgic enough for all that, but then more adult to appeal to us who are obviously in our late 20s or early 30s, 30 in my case. But it's just so good to have a series that centers around Harley Quinn, and it feels so incredibly authentic. It seems real, and it's kind of great to see Harley go from, say, this character who was just known as the Joker's girlfriend to breaking away from the Joker and becoming her own sort of person. We saw in the animated series, Batman the Animated Series, Harley becoming fed up with the Joker numerous times and maybe getting away from him from a short period of time, but never really permanently like they do in the Harley Quinn series, which is really cool. And you have where Kaley Cuoco, who played Penny on The Big Bang Theory, voices Harley Quinn, and she is great in it. Like, she is so good as Harley Quinn. I feel like she just has that same, like, she's a more like adult Harley, even though she certainly makes mistakes. I just really enjoy her in that character. I really love just the story behind Harley in this, where it's Harley and the Joker. They're obviously in an incredibly toxic relationship. I mean, I'm trying to not spoil this as much if you haven't watched it, but basically the beginning of the show starts with the Joker up to his typical shenanigans. Harley ends up in Arkham Asylum because of it, and she is convinced that the Joker is going to break her out, which everyone tells her, no, that's not going to happen. He is not coming for you. He's not going to take care of you. It's eventually Harley figuring all of that out, that the Joker does not care about her the way that she always thought the Joker cared about her. He doesn't love her the way that she loves him. And it's her breaking away from him, being her own woman. But I like the realism of it because in season 1, she does go back to the Joker at some point. Spoiler alert. Sorry. But it's just a real thing because people who are in toxic relationships like that, it is unfortunate that there's that tug and pull, and even if you know that the person is so incredibly bad for you, there's that connection and that pull and that tug, and that's something that Harley has to deal with and has to break away from. And I just, not that I like that she's in a toxic relationship, I just like the realistic aspect of it. Alan Tudyk voices the Joker, and I have to say that he is on the same level as Mark Hamill. And that's another reason why I say that it is nostalgic for us who have watched Batman the animated series, because Mark Hamill growing up was our Joker. He defined the voice of the Joker. Pretty much any animation or video games after that felt like it always needed to have Mark Hamill, and a lot of them did. And I would say that as far as like voiceover for the Joker, it's Mark Hamill and like Alan Tudyk right underneath, because not only does he sound almost exactly like Mark Hamill, he puts enough of his own spin to it that it's completely unique. And I love that. I loved his character as much as, like, listen, the Joker is one of the best comic book villains of all time. Whether you love him or you hate him, whatever opinion you have on him, I think that as far as, say, Batman and comic books, storytelling in general, he's absolutely necessary. Now, that's a whole nother topic, of course. People who wonder, how can we go a long time without telling another Joker story? And I do kind of agree with that, especially with comics. You don't, or even movies, you don't always need to make it about the Joker. Batman has a huge rogues gallery that you should definitely sink your teeth into every once in a while. It doesn't always have to be Mr. J, but he is necessary at the same time. And that's why I thought I really loved his involvement in season 1. And in general, the characters are great. Poison Ivy is completely reworked in this. In the past, we've seen Poison Ivy as this very sensual, sultry character, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's part of the reason that we love Poison Ivy, is her owning her sexuality, owning the power that gives her. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with those versions of Poison Ivy. But in the show, Poison Ivy is less sultry and seductive, more of an introvert. And it's kind of interesting, a little amusing to see Harley be this massive personality and Poison Ivy kind of being more of a to herself sort of person, and really kind of touches upon she's only into really her plants because she hates humanity because they destroy the earth. And we do. Come on, we're awful. But the friendship between Poison Ivy and Harley is so amazing. It is a real friendship. If you've been a fan of the comic books or you ship them together, I will say that you will be very happy in season 2. So I'm not trying to erase that at all by just concentrating on their friendship aspect, because even regardless of what happens, they are friends deep down. When it comes to it. And I think that their friendship is completely tangible. It's realistic. It's what, like, Harley needs someone like Poison Ivy, because Poison Ivy isn't afraid to tell Harley how it is. And she's also there to ground Harley when she completely needs it. She needs it, believe me, especially in season 1. She needs it as she's trying to become her own villain, trying to step away from the Joker, and how that has defined her character for so long. And then we go into season 2, which is, I liked season 2 because whereas season 1, every episode up until the last, like, say, 3 episodes, every episode in season 1 kind of felt individual, whereas season 2 felt like it was more so a whole over, like, an arc pretty much. And there's some really emotional episodes in season 2, especially involving Mr. Freeze and his wife. You have the relationship between Barbara Gordon and Jim Gordon, who is a bit of a mess and a bit of an alcoholic in this, I won't lie, but I like what they do with his relationship with his daughter. We get Batgirl in season 2, which is amazing. And season 2 relies less on Batman as, say, season 1 did. Not that season 1 necessarily relied a whole lot on Batman, but he was certainly, I think, more prominent in season 1 than he was in season 2. But you have Batgirl, Catwoman makes a premiere, and Catwoman is awesome. And there are a lot of underlying storylines that are really good here. And I don't want to ruin it if you haven't seen the show, but there is some great Harley and Ivy content. And as I said before, it's because they're such great friends that it translates into something bigger in season 2. And I like that it was natural, right? It wasn't forced or anything like that. It was a natural progression, and you can't help but want. I'm just gonna say it. Spoiler alert. They get together. That shouldn't be too much of a spoiler alert, just because it's been planted all over the internet. But I won't say any more if they stay together or what the whole ins and outs of that are. But I'm just saying it's a natural progression for them. And as I said, their friendship at the heart of all of it is why that works, because they understand each other. They truly know who the other person is, and that's exactly what you want in a relationship. That's actually what you want in a domestic partner, right? So I like that they explored that. I liked that the creators weren't afraid to go there, because it feels like that if this was in a live action capacity, they may be afraid to go there. And Justin Halpern and Patrick Schumacher were not afraid at all to go there, and I really appreciate that with it. It's fun. It's rated R. There's a lot of F words and gore and some sex scenes, but it's just so much fun, but also hits some really amazing topics, and it also just does really well with adult topics. I like some of. I can't think of saying anything in season 2 that did it, but in season 1, just like little things like mentioning, say, HPV and someone attempting to say slut shame someone over it, and Harley saying, very basic facts that most people actually do have it and don't know about it or something like that. And it was like a little thing like that that I really liked, just because it was a real world thing that it was trying to seep in there. So it was being almost educational, but also being entertaining at the same time. So there's just so much to the Harley Quinn show. There's 13 episodes each season. It is so fun. The episodes are probably only about 20 to 30 minutes long. I actually doubt that any of them are legitimately 30 minutes long. So it's a quick watch. You can watch 2 seasons probably either in 1 day or 2 days. And if you enjoyed Batman the Animated Series, but you're looking for content that's a little bit more mature, a little bit more adult, because that's the age that you are now, definitely check out Harley Quinn. If you're a fan of Harley Quinn and love to see her progress outside of the Joker, and as I said, I love the Joker, just his character in general. I think he's a necessary evil, and I've enjoyed pretty much every portrayal of Joker. And yes, that even includes Jared Leto's Joker, which I know so many people hate on. But from Joaquin Phoenix's to Heath Ledger's, Jack Nicholson's, Mark Hamill, now Alan Tudyk, I just love the Joker. I think he's a necessary character, and I don't mind in the comics when they do a storyline with Joker and Harley. I think it's probably one of the most interesting origin stories, and clearly we're so invested in it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that any couple in the comic book realm has had so much dedicated to them, and they have so. I think there's right now a Harley Quinn comic book right now that's talking again about the origins between Harley and the Joker. I have seen it. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I've seen it so many times in comics, so many different runs, so many times in animated, in now live action. You have as well their relationship and their origins of their relationship. And I feel like there's no other couple that is focused on their origins, at the very least, of them meeting and how much that defines someone, as Joker and Harley. And I'm sorry, I enjoy watching it, but I also enjoy seeing Harley be her own person. And that type of stuff is not okay because it's fictional and it's in a comic book, but it's telling a story, and sometimes stories aren't always necessarily happy-go-lucky, but it is also nice to see a natural progression of character development as it goes on. I think that people who are reading it can take away something from that by seeing a character like Harley. Now, admittedly, I do like when Harley is still the villain. And I did like in the Harley Quinn series where they did show that even though she's not necessarily a bad guy, because we see characters in this show who are much worse than her, who are a lot more evil, but she does still want to be a villain. She doesn't necessarily have the desire to be a hero, but she does fall under the category sometimes of an anti-hero. I do just like her being a villain at some points. We saw that in the original animated series, Batman Arkham Asylum video game. So I go back and forth. I just love Harley in any sort of capacity that she's in. So whatever you want to give me, if she's a independent villain, if she's a villain dating the Joker, if she's a villain dating Poison Ivy, if she's an anti-hero dating Poison Ivy, she's an anti-hero on her own. I love anything and anything Harley Quinn. Give me a darker Harley Quinn, give me a more lighthearted Harley Quinn. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care what she's wearing, although I do love the nostalgia of the original costume. But whether she's in red and black or pink and blue, I love Harley. I hope you guys do as well, because if you do, you should definitely watch the Harley Quinn animated series, now available on HBO Max. So please make sure, everyone, that you check that out. I actually did reviews for both season 1 and season 2 on geekvibesnation.com. And you can also find, I actually interviewed the co-creators of the Harley Quinn anime series. And that was a fun interview, just being able to get their insight on the show, the character, and also picking Kaley Cuoco as the voice of Harley Quinn, which apparently wasn't something that they originally wanted to do, but that they totally see now completely works. And I have to say it does. It's nice to see Kaley Cuoco breaking away from her character in The Big Bang Theory, and hopefully that will help her not become pigeonholed or stereotyped in certain sort of roles. So I do like that, and please make sure that you check it out. Follow us, like and subscribe. Go to our website. We have links to all of our social media platforms right then and there. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Tia Fabi, and we can chat more about the Harley Quinn series or anything that you'd like. But thank you for joining me for another Tea Time with Tia, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.